All right, y'all. Welcome to another episode of That Should Have Been a Podcast. You guys know we have conversations, raw conversations about, you know, topics that we feel spark that interest or spark a conversation. Usually these are conversations you'll have with your friends on a day-to-day basis. So, that's what we do. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. My name is Oscar.
It's Matt.
And so let's get cracking.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, what do we got today? Let's see.
So today's topic is, why do some people rise under pressure while others collapse?
Oh, this is a good one. I really like this topic. So there's a lot to unpack here with like most topics, but I might have to like just go off the top of my head and then come back.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, what I'm thinking is it's always going to be mental. That's the big thing. And I say this from experience because when you're fighting and you're competing, there's a lot of pressure. And sometimes we put that pressure on ourselves. But then even if you think just athletes in general, because I used to hoop a lot too. And when I hooped, that was also a lot of pressure. And I played basketball even through my adult years too. So it's not like just as a kid. And I feel like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves just in general because we have this perception of what we think things should look like or how things should happen.
Right.
And I think Hollywood has a lot to do with this, right? Because everybody wants that fairy tale ending. Yeah. And so you have that in mind. And then when it doesn't go that way, like when one thing's not going your way, I think it starts to compound. And then it could take you completely out of it. Some people go into competitions, any sort of competition, already thinking that. And then I think psychologically, we talk to ourselves a certain way, and that also impacts why some people rise under pressure and some people don't. I feel like that there's people that have a certain conversation within their head right before competition, which helps them through that. Even thinking about it even further back, even through training, even through practice, even through whatever it is that you're doing, when you're practicing that or you're training it, I think that you're already having conversations in your head. Mentally, I think that's where it starts. And I'll say this, not enough coaches put enough emphasis on that, on the mental side of the game. Whether it's basketball, football, soccer, golf, tennis, and even, jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. Like, I don't think there's enough coaches that talk to their students about the mental side of things.
How do you like to talk to people and introduce that reality to people, so that the way that it's something that they start to embrace? Maybe it's somebody who just started training, maybe they're older, but especially like maybe younger people who don't have any kind of life experience with pressures and things like that.
Right.
And it'll start to come.
Yeah, so we have a saying here, put your feet to the fire. And like we literally, during your preparation for a competition, we'll put you through some pretty tough situations and force you to get a little bit more comfortable with being under that pressure. But realistically, and I say this to everybody, we really don't know until we're there if your body's going to show up, what your mind is going to do. Because you could do everything leading up to your competition right. You could do everything right, and then that day, it's just not clicking. And you'll hear fighters say this all the time, or you'll hear athletes say this all the time. I just couldn't find it today. It just wasn't there for me. And that's you just don't know. Sometimes you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and that's what happens. I think to prepare somebody, even at a young age, this actually goes back to one of our conversations that we talked about. I think that sometimes coaches break their athletes down too much. The way that you talk to your athlete, you may break them down. And sometimes you need to jerk somebody, you need to shake them up and give them something that forces them to think or forces them to step out of their comfort zone. But to be doing that all the time, to be beating somebody down all the time, I think you're tearing somebody apart.
Yeah.
It makes it harder to compete at that point. Not only are you taking the love away of whatever they're doing, but you're also killing somebody's self-esteem. Whatever made them feel confident, you could be taking that away. I actually just recently had a conversation with one of our students about that because he started training here, and then he brought his brother over, and his brother really enjoys this, but his brother likes to go hard. It's like he's one of those guys that just wants to go hard, go fast the whole time, and he said his brother said, "Hey, I know why you don't let him spar, because he's always going hard." And I said, that's part of it. I think it's more control than it is that, because I actually don't want him to not go hard. I don't want to take that part away from him. That aggression, especially in Muay Thai, like you don't want to take that away from somebody. You want to harness it. You want to be able to use it when you want to use it, but also you want to be controlled. Like being controlled is really important as a teammate, as a partner. Being able to control that when you have that power is really important. But you also, as a coach, you don't want to take that away. Like you want them to be that. And you don't, like as a coach, I feel like you don't want to take a lot away from people. You know, like we got Sendo, who just fought recently, and you know, he does his whole thing, but when he comes out, you know, and regardless of how I feel about it, like it or not, that's him. I don't want to take that part away from him, especially because that could be his ritual to get ready for the competition that he's about to face. So me taking that away from him is not letting him be in his comfort zone, you know? And as a coach, you have to recognize that. I think that a lot of coaches tear that part down, you know, to try to fit fighters into their box, the box that they've created, but not everybody fits that box, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. And you know, I like that we're having this conversation, because for me, on the other side of it, I've never, I mean, other than when I was a kid, like playing baseball and stuff, like for Little League and all that, I've never really had competition, right? Like this year, in January, I had signed up to compete at Jiu-Jitsu World League, right? And then, as you were just talking about the conversations we have in our head, part of the reality of why I didn't end up competing was because as we're getting, I had set a weight class, and I've done not weight cuts for competitions or anything like that, but just on my own. Like I started learning how to get healthy, counting calories, what nutrition is in terms of what my body needs, and I made progress. So I was able to kind of time, I can get down to this weight. It wasn't anything unreasonable. I can't remember what it was now, but I think it was going to be like maybe 15, 20 pounds. But I had like 3-4 months. That's plenty of time.
I remember this.
Yeah, and so there were some life circumstances, which that's not an excuse. Like things happen in life in general. So knowing that wasn't an excuse, what I did was I had enough time at the last minute to change my weight class to be higher, because I knew I wasn't going to make that weight.
Right.
And I was at that weight. But quite frankly, it dawned on me like, dang, like I started overthinking all of these things. And the main things were like, I'm pretty sure at my level, I think I'm like Masters 3. You know, for those of you who compete, you might know what that is. But I think I'm the older in my bracket, right? And then I started thinking like, oh, Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, IBJJF, nobody's like drug testing these guys. Like, you know, what if I get my arm broken? What if these things happen? Things that I never really thought about.
Right.
This is real. Like, you know,
100%.
I have not even had this conversation like at this reality level with anybody yet.
Yeah.
And so, man, I even got the day off, right? Like I just took the job, and the GM of the store was just like, well, this is important to you. We want to show you that we care about life balance.
Yeah.
So Saturday's a pretty big day, but for sure, like, you know, you can have that day off to do the competition. So, I mean, I had no excuses, man. And I backed out. That's really what it came down to. So fast forward to like this week, right? So I've been talking with Sensei Papa Yang. Y'all don't know him, go definitely to follow him, Yang Bro Papa on YouTube or IG. So, you know, he is a judo sensei, and he's a jiu-jitsu blue belt who started at 52 as a white belt, right? So he's been here for a little over a year. He's got 3 competitions under his belt. Went with him during the first one. That second one, we were going to go together, right? And so I didn't go. You know, he didn't say anything about it or anything. Then we hadn't really talked in a while. But then this week, we've been kind of reconnecting. And he met my girlfriend, and she's competed like, I don't know how many times, but she's got like medals and stuff, you know what I mean, at her place and all that. And she's a jiu-jitsu purple belt. Yeah, right? So he's just like, hey, Matt, you know, like, hey, look, man, your girlfriend's competing in, you haven't even gotten any kind of experience, And she's just like, yeah, baby, you should compete. And tonight we had like just a kind of a heart to heart, and he's like, man, it's really just about the experience. I asked him, I said, I need your advice though, because I'm starting to get in my head about this, because it would be in September. It's not a lot of time from now, but I mean, it's not a big deal. But basically my thing was like, hey, I'm going through this application process. What if I get injured by the time I need to, to start, and it's a very physical job. I was like, do you think it's possible? Like, am I going to get injured, or like, should I just play it safe? And he just smiled. He's like, no, you just compete. He's like, you will not get hurt. He's like, you'll feel it when you two start gripping. He's like, it's night and day, just 3 competitions, how I felt during my first one to how I'm doing it now. He's like, it's really just experience. We don't have a lot of life to live. He always reminds me of this. He's like, me? He's like, he's in his mid-50s. He's like, maybe I have 20 years left, and you maybe 30 years left. He's not trying to be literal, but he's saying by the averages, right?
Right.
So he's like, life is short, man. Like, he's like, you got to experience it. He's like, I know you enough and how you roll enough in whatever weight class, as a white belt in jiu-jitsu, you'll be fine. And you know what, if you don't win, you won by getting the experience. That doesn't take place of getting a medal, obviously, but what I'm saying is, it's good for you to get the experience, right?
Yes.
And so now I got to get on there and register.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say this, I've guided a lot of people through competition, and recently one of our guys competed and didn't win, but he did win because he got the experience, and that experience actually leveled him up. And this happens literally to everybody, and it'll happen to you for sure. And it definitely happened to Pablo Yang, because you compete, you get the experience, you come back and you feel totally different. And it's not something tangible.
That's what he was saying.
It's not something tangible. You can't hold it. You can't see it. You can't even share it with anyone outside of the fact that you feel it. And when you get on the mats or when you start sparring, you feel it. That's the way you share it. And then because you got better, now your teammates get better. So
it's almost kind of a selfless thing at the same time, too.
Yeah, it's funny because like jiu-jitsu, when you go in there and you compete, it's just you versus one other person, but you have a whole team on your back, and it's the same thing in Muay Thai. It's 2 people in the ring, but they have a whole team behind them, and when that person gets done with that competition, whether they win or they lose, when they go back to their gym, they're that much better, and they get to share that with everybody else, and then it levels everybody else up. And that part right there is something you can't really put a price on. You can't really give a medal to that. You know what I mean? Because it's like the butterfly effect. It impacts so many other people besides just you. And when you lose, sometimes you win, and when you win, sometimes you lose. And I take nothing away from anybody when I say this, right? Just what it is. Like my last competition, when I dislocated my shoulder, my opponent won. Realistically, though, we fought for 1 minute and 50 seconds. And not like I was getting, it's not like I was getting my ass handed to me and vice versa. Like, it was a competition, and you can't tell which way it was going to go had my shoulder not. Had that freak accident had not happened, you don't know which way it could have gone. So did he really win that fight? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
it could be argued, like in his gym, coming back feeling like, man, I know they gave me this win, but it didn't feel like I earned it.
Yeah.
I've heard fighters talk like that before, when they come off of a win like that, where it doesn't feel like, hey, I don't feel like I really deserve that.
Yeah. And so you celebrate it, but how do you feel about, and this goes beyond that, right? Like, this goes beyond anybody else, because you can lie to your teammates, you can lie to the people around you, your family, your friends, but you cannot lie to yourself.
That's right.
You know how you feel about it. And it's the same thing when a fighter goes in a ring and he's fighting, and then he quits on himself and he decides to find a way out. You can lie to me. Oh, I got injured. Oh, he hit me really good. I went down. You can lie to me as your coach. You can lie to your teammates about it. You can lie to your family and friends, but you can't lie to yourself. You cannot lie to yourself. You know what you were going through in your head, and competing teaches you so much about yourself. So much. The way you talk to yourself. What are you going through? Are you going to look for a way out, and then are you going to take it?
Yeah.
And then if you lose, how do you take that loss?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like I've taken some losses that have really stung, and like if you lose and you're cool with it, I have a problem with that. Then you're okay with losing. But if you lose and it hurts and it stings, it should, and that's okay for you to feel that way, you know. But you can't let that dictate everything else.
Yeah.
So how do you take that loss? You know, I remember my first loss. I felt so bad. Like I was in my shower. I remember showering, crying because I had that was my first loss. I had gone a bunch of fights without losing. I was undefeated for more than 12 or 13 fights without losing. Yeah. So that first loss stung. And I remember just showering and like crying to myself and then coming out like nothing. You know, and you feel like you're just alone in those moments, even though there's people around you, even though everybody's trying to console you, but no one can feel what you're feeling. But I learned that it's okay to feel that way and that you should feel that way. If you really are a winner, losing hurts. It should hurt you. If you're not a winner, it won't hurt you. If you're not really wanting to be the top dog, if you're not really trying to be a champion, if you're not really trying to win that title, win a championship, whatever you're doing, gold medal, you're not really trying to be the top dog.
Yeah.
You know, it's that challenge of like wanting to be that dude. And it should, if you really want to be that dude, sometimes you're going to fall on your face and it's going to sting. Are you going to pick yourself back up and do it again? Mm-hmm. You know, or are you going to shell up and say, you know what, this is not for me. Let me go look for something else to do. Or let me find the easy route. Let me find a reason to get out of this. You know, but back to it, competing will change you. It'll change you.
I feel like it's so important for me too, while I still have that time in my age, and I still got plenty of time, especially given I take care of myself. But like having between my family and then getting married soon, it's going to be 3 boys and then 1 little girl. And especially, I believe in women competing and learning self-defense or a martial art. I'm huge on that. And then for boys, it's like sometimes they don't want to do it because it's the battle that we have in our heads, or things like you said, like Hollywood, what's in our minds, like, well, I don't want to be embarrassed, this type of thing. I want to be able to speak on those experiences to my sons. And I think where I was disappointed with myself was that I overcame a lot in that, even though I hadn't competed, there was one thing that in my life that I did that really taught me a lot about myself. Like in 2009, I went to a police academy. It was self-sponsored, so I didn't get hired by an agency to go, but I got the certificate and graduated so I can kind of say, hey, I'm trying to get a job and I paid my way to the academy. You don't have to pay for that. So they call that like an academy graduate recruit. So in the academy, we were all different shapes, sizes, levels of fitness and all of this. And what they would do is they would pair us up at different times. The first day was just like last name, alphabetical order, A through Z, and whoever was next to you, like they would just count 2, 2. You two are now partners. You can't leave each other behind. One's got to take a piss, well, the other one's got to go with you. You know what I mean? Like if you get in trouble, because then now you got to do like 50 push-ups, well, your partner's got to do 50 push-ups with you. So square your partner away too. And then we would do things like we would start to run cadence, right? Like which they do in the military. And the guys who were leading it were active duty Marines. We had this guy, Master Sergeant Baldwin. I'm sure he's a higher rank now, but man, so he would take us on these runs and he would sing cadence. And then there would be some students who would like start to get the wind out of them. But the thing is, we can't stop.
Right.
But we don't have to like completely drag ass, and we don't have to speed up either, but we have to stay together. That was the big thing. And so I remember our defensive tactics instructor, his name's Sergeant Owens, and he would always tell us, he'd like, you would be surprised what you can put your body through. It's all in your mind. Mm-hmm. And through those experiences, man, like running up and down like 6 flights of stairs, we had this thing we called a grinder, like where we go do a lot of our exercises and stuff. I mean, I just ran that thing constantly. Whenever somebody got in trouble, like the whole class would have to run it, and they'd be like, "You better be back in 3 minutes. Everybody go, go, go." So we'd be going up there. We have our gear and stuff. We're trying to run up there. As soon as we come back, we have to hold push-up position till everybody comes back. And just the thought of all that in the initial, when I heard about some of that, I was like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to do this." And honestly, in many of those first few months and those moments, I really kind of couldn't. But the thing is that I didn't want to let anybody down.
Yes.
And that outweighed everything. So it was just like, no matter what I do, I'm going to hold this push-up position, or I'm just going to keep running, or I'm going to just keep jogging. I'm going to find a pace, even if my side hurts like hell. Like I'm just going to push through it. That taught me so much, both about myself, what I could put myself through. And you know, it was weird. It's just like I didn't crumble. But it was because I didn't want to let anybody down. That was the biggest reason. When I'm alone, it's like nobody's going to see. I'm just going to take me a break, man. I'm going to walk it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like when everybody's got to stick together, you know, and then we had this one gal, man, she was a rock. Her name was, I can't remember, Brianna Garcia. Man, she was a really sweet young lady. And she was tiny, not in the best shape. She got in really good shape at the end of the academy and she graduated. But she had a hard time, so we would have to, you know, slow it down for her, kind of bring her up to speed. But we all had to stay together. But that really taught me so much. You'd be surprised what your body could go through, and it's all really in your mind. This is where I started to learn, because I used to run outside of the academy, which I hated running. I was one of those people, I hate running. I actually started to fall in love with running. I found that second wind that we talked about a couple weeks ago, and then I'd push through it, and all of a sudden I'd be running like miles on miles. Like I'd be running like 7 miles. I'm like, how did I do this?
Well, truth be told, I think like 90% of people that run hate running.
Oh, really?
I swear.
I mean, you get that second
that number
window.
could be.
Do you feel that way? Because I know you run, like especially when you're prepping for a fight.
That number could be wrong. Oh yeah, like
you hate running too?
Oh yeah. So, but you get in a stride. You're looking for that stride.
Yeah.
You're looking for that.
I don't know, man. That runner's high really feels good, but it just takes a while to get there.
It does take a while. Well, that goes back to like the mental thing. I think that in order to compete, if you can put yourself through things that build mental fortitude, like running, you know, like Anthony was getting ready with me for a few fight camps, and on one of them we were going running in Santa Monica. Like it's fucking beautiful, right? It's like beautiful scenery. And when we get there, he's like, he's breathing, right? And then I tell him, so I'm not feeling this run right now, to be honest with you. And he's like, really? Like it was like one of the first times we had one of these conversations. He's like, really? He's like, oh yeah, I don't even feel like running either. And I told him, truth be told, like 90% of the time that we go for a run, I don't want to run. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, most of the time I don't want to do this, but I know that I have to do it. And not wanting to do it is not reason enough.
Yeah.
Not to do it. And it's funny because you said something earlier, and it reminded me of this saying, no excuses. There's two kind of people in this world. One, people who are finding excuses not to do things, and then two, people who are finding a reason to do things.
Yeah.
You know? And so you just have to find a reason. Just find a reason, that's it. And like running sucks, but it builds mental fortitude, because when you're running, even when you have headphones on, you're not really listening to music the whole time. Sometimes you're just thinking, and you're thinking about this run, and like, damn, how far am I right now? How much more do I have to go? You're trying to break it down.
Yeah, it makes it more painful.
It does, but it goes back to the mental thing.
Yeah.
I think that the people that perform at a high level and perform under pressure is because they train that muscle, whatever you want to call it. But there's something to be said about confidence in preparation, right? You're preparing constantly, and so you have confidence in that preparation. So when the lights are on, your body and your mind is just automatically going to go into that preparation mode, or whatever you were preparing. But also building that mental fortitude by doing the things that you don't want to do when they need to be done, and having that power of will, that willpower. Like, I think it's really important, and that's probably what differentiates the people that can perform at a high level and the people that can't. And you'll see it all the time. Think of someone in the gym, whether it's jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, karate, or even like any other sport, think of them during practice or during, sessions in the gym versus when it's time to play the game, when it's time to step in the ring, when it's time to step on the mats and you're competing. And now everything is on the line. And by everything is obviously like the win, the loss, or whatever it is. And how they perform there versus how they perform when they were practicing or when they were on the mats, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you see it. Sometimes you'll see people that are like really good at this part, and then when they get into competition, not so much.
That's wild how that can happen.
That mental fortitude. Like there's something in there. And some people just have a block. Some people are really good and they're calm. They're good during training. They're calm leading up to the competition. But then competition comes and it's like something happens. They hit a wall. They just can't get their body to do what their mind wants to do. It's insane. It's probably one of the most interesting things, and it's probably why you see a lot of these like sports psychology books, sports psychologists, because it's interesting to see the mind of an athlete and the way it functions, and how a lot of them have the same thoughts that people that don't compete at that level have.
Wow.
Yeah. But competing, regardless of how you perform, changes you. Regardless of whether you win, you lose, you have a block, you're not mentally there, it changes you. Sometimes it puts other things into perspective.
Yeah. I mean, watching Sensei, at 53 going on 54 with 3 competitions, and then he's cut so much weight. Like he's down to a healthy weight. It's not like he's sucked up. He's super healthy right now. And he had energy before, but now, I mean, he's known, like his jiu-jitsu game is known. Like our average age here is probably like, I don't know, 31 between like the youngsters and some of the older ones. He's definitely like the oldest one. And he just keeps going. He finds a way on top. He's almost never on bottom. His scramble from the bottom is it's like relentless. Like it's hard to stay on top of him. Now he's got better defense, so he can sweep better. And then when he's on top, like it's very difficult because he's squirrely too. So if you're stronger and you can sweep him, he'll just move to another direction so he can still push his way on to top and try to get to mount, or at least maintain some kind of control. So it's really impressive to watch. And I feel like his game really kind of like changed exponentially. Another one is going to be Angela. Angela, she's one of our, BJJ white belts. I think she's 3, maybe 4 stripes. No, I think 4 stripes. We started a day apart. She started the day before I did, like a little over a year ago. And I had like probably collectively about a year experience by that point. But she knew nothing, man. It was like, it was it was just like, and it's cool, right? But I remember like working with her. She's like, oh, how do I do this and stuff? And she kept like laughing and stuff. She had earrings in, and she had her hair up. Now she ties her hair back. She ain't got no earrings. She's been to, I don't even know how, we're going to find out. So she's going to be somebody I interview for Ice Cam in mid-September.
Yeah, she's actually competing. She's competing right now this weekend.
This weekend? I think I'm going to guess, this got to be her 8th or 9th competition. And this is her like first year in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So, some people just go after it. But not everybody has to compete though. You know what I mean? And not everybody does this to compete. And I want to make that distinction too, because it's important. Like everybody has a certain goal when they walk into a gym. And sometimes that goal changes or shifts. But not everybody's goal is to compete. But that doesn't mean that you can't help others. And that doesn't mean that you showing up means less. It means just as much because it helps other people.
A lot of people
prepare.
behind her helping her train aren't active competitors, but they're working with her.
Yeah, and then also too, like you just never know who it's gonna click for. Mm-hmm. That's like the beautiful part about it too, because people step in here and you just don't know who it's gonna click for, and sometimes you also don't know when it's gonna click. Because some people can train and it just doesn't click. Or some people show up and it's there, it's already clicked for them, and then it reverts to, nah, I'm good. And that's okay. I'm just saying you just don't know when it's gonna click. We've had people that have trained here for a while and then it doesn't click. You know what? I do want to compete. And then they lock in. And then they hit another level, because now it's like, oh, I'm competing, like now I need to prepare. And also the vibe changes, right? Everybody sees the vibe of when people are preparing, like, oh, they have a different energy or a different intensity, or they're doing they're going at a different level.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes sense because they're competing. So then you automatically think, oh, okay, so if I'm competing, I should be doing that. So it becomes this culture, you know? Yeah, I think for somebody like her to come and be that green and to take it as far as she's taken is inspiring. Like, that's really the stuff that inspires me when I see people like that and the energy that they bring. It's just inspiring. Like, you can't help but gravitate towards that and want to be around it more. Do you know what I mean? Like, that energy is just different. So I think you should definitely compete.
Yes, coach.
You should definitely compete. Thinking about that though, like as far as people and their mentality, how do you think that translates to real world stuff?
I was thinking about that now too. You know, I couldn't speak on experience, but I know just through my experience, especially that academy experience, like there were a lot of different things that happened in there that were like, you know, we would spar and none of us really knew anything except for like the basic defensive tactics we had. That was the first time like I would be on my back, like running out of air. And the biggest thing they were looking for was not giving up, you know, and then, and it would be a whole sparring session after running an obstacle course, jumping fences and doing all this stuff. And then the fight starts. I think for me, definitely, is I learned after that, I've never been the same in that I really realized that I can go through way more than I probably thought I did. And it's funny because sometimes I'll notice in our different classes, whether it's Muay Thai or BJJ, we'll have like younger guys who will come in and they're taking like longer breaks and they look like they're in good shape.
Yeah.
And like, I know what it feels like to not be that young. You know what I mean? Like, and I realized like it's really in their mind. They just haven't hit that point yet, or nobody's taught them or pushed them yet.
Yeah.
That you really actually don't need a break.
No.
You know, you could just keep going, and then you'll be giving them shit for it. Like, oh, okay, we're just taking a break, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I feel you on that too, because like there have been times that I'm like burning and I'm burning, but I know just by experience, like this isn't the time to stop. It's not like you have us here for like 3 hours straight non-stop movement.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a time that you have us lock in through these drills, and then there's a time stop. All right, move into the next one. We get a chance to breathe. But it's not like we're gonna lean up against the wall or just like sit down or anything like that. So, yeah, man, I think for me, it's also helped me. I feel like it's been a blessing from God as far as in many ways I've learned to not crumble, relying on Him and knowing that if I'm doing right by Him, I can't fail. Like even if I suffer, I can't fail because He's overcoming in me. And that like my life has really just been reflecting that. And it's really been like I've started to lock in with my walk, I'd say in the past couple of maybe almost 2.5 years now. And then I came to the gym here. I think it was like last May or June. It's August now. And I made it like a dedicated thing. Like when I come here, this is going to be kind of like you tell us, like Keela was talking about an interview that we're releasing next Friday, which he was like, Coach Oscar told me that this place should be like our sanctuary.
Yeah.
You know? And so this place to me was very precious in that I'm like, I'm not going to look for example, I'm not going to look for a partner. Not that that's bad. Like people meet each other, get married, and that's cool. But it was for me. It was a thing for me I needed to do to keep myself not thinking about that. I went without dating for a little over a year, and I just focused on trying to better myself at work, enjoying my process here with jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and then eventually judo, and then just staying consistent in my walk. And there was a lot of ups and downs in it, but through good leaders, you for sure, man, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah,
through Sensei Papa Yang, some talks with Professor Mark Bradford. Like I just seen how the consistency does result in blessing. And I see that by the people that are around you, your families and such. And I'm like, man, there's no reason this can't be me. If I'm locking in, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And so I remember I had a talk with Sensei like 10 months ago, and it was kind of like we're having a tough conversation. And this is a common one amongst people in the church, which is like sometimes people say, oh, I feel like I'm called to do this or I'm called to do that. And then I don't know how the conversation come up, but I remember he seemed like low key kind of frustrated, and he's like, okay, he's like, so what do you feel like? What do you feel like God's telling you? And I'm like, to endure well. And then he just was kind of taken aback by that. Because I think like the answer I probably would have given most of my life is like, oh, I want to become like a worship leader. I'm like do music, or I want to be a pastor. I want to do this. And we can do all of those things. That's fine, right? Not all things are beneficial, or all things are possible, but not necessarily are permissible, but not beneficial. But at the end of the day, like when I go through the word and I see the people who are bearing the fruit of the word, it's the people that endure well, that through suffering or through the ups and the downs, there's humility, there's respect there, there's them doing the right thing, them checking their hearts. Like I talked about in our last ice cam, like, you know, there are times that I struggle more often than other times just with my thought life, whether it be just maybe anger or just like somebody pissed me off, or it could be anything. And it's just something that I've been able to check. And definitely coming into training, it like, I don't know how to explain it, man. It brings me back to like center. It's hard to be upset about anything when you're like the life is like out of you because you've been pushing yourself all night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're too exhausted to even think
yeah.
that way.
And it's really been like, for lack of a better term, therapeutic for me. In fact, you're gonna see like in Kile's interview, like it's such a good interview, man. The guy's just so raw. Like everybody I've interviewed has been real, but I'm just saying with that man's life experience, one of the things that he said was like, this place saved me.
Yeah.
He's like, considering my past and the things I was going through, I came in here panicking. I was having panic attacks. I was really going through it. And this place like really saved me. And I'm going to let you guys watch that on our IG when you see that interview. But I get it now. Like I've been through enough life experience, although a different road than him, to where I get it. Like for him, as he said, like this is my sanctuary. Like you're going to see too, he's got a lot of personality. He's really quiet, but as he said in the interviews, it's like, I'm not here to fuck around though.
No.
That's why you don't see me talking a whole lot and like chit-chatting and all that, you know what I mean?
But I say that to a lot of people. This should be your sanctuary, because they'll come in here and they're like in a bad mood. But you have to understand that when you come in here in a bad mood, you're giving that to somebody else, that energy to somebody else, and that other person is here because they want to get that work. They may not be in that same frame of mind, and when you have that frame of mind and you're giving somebody that energy, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to anybody else that's here. So when you walk through that doorway, you got to leave that stuff out.
Yeah.
And you got to let this be your sanctuary. Let this be that 1 hour, hour and a half that you just kind of let everything go, not worry about everything, and just do this.
Man, this brings me to this last question. That's just really just because there have been times where I've had like such a bad day or week where I'm like, I know it's not okay. And I've actually even trained, and then halfway through training, I'm like, I know I need to not be here. Like my attitude is off. Like nobody's told me anything, but I feel it.
Yeah.
It's not there. And I have as a student, the liberty to just be like, yo, professor, yo, coach, like I'm gonna take off.
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool. But as a coach, how do you do that?
That's actually a good
You're
question.
expected to be here, or Coach Paul or Gino, you know what I mean? Like it don't matter what kind of a day you're having.
Yeah, it actually, you know, I luckily I'm very good at compartmentalizing, but yeah, you got to be on essentially. You know, I used to work at a bank, and that's one of the things that they stress all the time. When you're on, meaning when you're in front of customers, you're on regardless of what's happening outside of you taking care of customers and making sure that they have a good experience while they're in the branch. You know what I mean? And so I took that and I translated that to this. When people come in here, it's not their business what type of day I'm having. It's more of like I need to bring that energy. So I actually came up with this thing a while ago. I don't do it now because now I'm like kind of in a different mindset, but I used to, every time I stepped on the mats, I would do this one thing where I would do a certain movement, and that I knew like every time I did that, it was like, okay, boom, locked in, let's go. You know what I mean? And I use that to kind of be the barrier of like, I'm having a bad day or I'm stressed or whatever, of like, okay, boom, nothing matters outside of you teaching this class and giving everybody 100%. Because I cannot expect for students to give me 100% or give their 100% to whatever, give their 100% if I'm not giving them the 100. right? And I learned this a long time ago just from managing people. If I give you 70% and I'm asking you for 100, it's not fair to you. So if I'm not giving you 100, how could I expect you to give me that same back? You know?
Yeah.
And so I have to give that back. And so that's usually the attitude I come in here. And don't get it wrong. Like, there's days where I'll have a rough day, but I try my best not to let that bleed into what I'm doing. It may bleed into the way I'm coaching. I may be a little bit rougher that day where I'm like pushing you a little harder, but I'm not trying to snap on people. I don't want to snap. I don't want to do something that later on I'm like, oh, my bad. Even though I'm sure it's happened in the past, but I try to make sure I don't do that, that I check it. I think it's important to be emotionally aware, you know, and, you know, a lot of us coaches are fighters from the past, you know, and not everything's always 100, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You got to have a few screws loose to do what we do, I would say. So
take your shirt off and stick them in a ring.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, you know, not every coach is going to have that under control. Mm-hmm. Not every coach is going to be emotionally aware. You know, sometimes it takes time to get there. But those that are, I feel like, are great coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a good question.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't think two people put too much thought into that, because it does take energy. It takes energy to coach. It takes energy to lead people, and it takes energy to listen. You know, and like, it's funny because you'll see the memes of like coaches who they're like, I have many roles. I'm a coach, I'm an accountant, I'm a psychologist, I'm this, I'm that. And it's so true, because as a coach or a trainer, you're like, you are a lot of things. You put a lot of different hats on.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, everybody, I feel like, only thinks like, oh, well, it was just me who asked the question. Yeah, but you're not thinking about the 10 other people that asked.
Man, I've heard questions where I'm like, yeah, I was thinking about asking that, but I didn't want to ask. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, cool. That was good, but according to my watch, mm-hmm. Time's up. I think you know, these conversations, I think have been really good. I think you know, we like to hear from everybody. For those of you guys that do watch, we appreciate you guys. But give us some comments. Let us know, and we got to go back and look at some of those comments.
Yeah, definitely.
But we got a lot of things planned. We want this thing to get bigger, obviously, and grow. But we want to do it if only if there's the audience for it. But I feel like these are definitely conversations that we would have on a regular basis anyway, and that we would say, yo, that should have been a podcast for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thank you guys. Again, I'm Oscar. This is Matt. We'll see you guys on the next one.
See you on the next one. All right, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.